It's rough. It roughly comes out to be roughly 300 Americans a day are dying from these drugs coming in through the controlled by the cartels and emanating from China. It is horrible.
Congressman, how is this not chemical warfare?
It is chemical warfare. I'm a doctor, a healthcare provider. I'm a dentist, actually, doctor of dental surgery. Fentanyl is a drug that belongs in the operating room. It certainly doesn't belong on the streets. It certainly doesn't belong in a capsule or a tablet disguised as another drug to be taken by some unsuspecting person. You could be thinking you're taking a Tylenol, for goodness sakes. The next thing you know, you're overdosing and dying on fentanyl. That's the insidiousness of this whole thing. And the cartels literally and the Chinese communists have declared war. I think it's chemical warfare against the United States of America, and there should be some real accountability for both of those entities.
Yeah, absolutely. If Republicans get in control of Congress as expected in November, what is something they can do with the Biden administration to force the Biden administration to escalate the fight against fentanyl? Because it is only speeding up. I just saw a story today that there's a new version of fentanyl that could be 10 times more lethal than the current street version, which, by the way, is very lethal. What can Republicans do using the power of the purse to try to force Joe Biden and Alejandro Mayorkas to do something more aggressive?
The power of the purse, if we can stick together and we get the votes to do it, we can just start defunding these whole departments or even the heads of certain departments. That's what needs to be done. My good friend John Culberson, who was a former congressman and my colleague from Texas, he was an appropriator. He said, this is what you need to do to people like that, and that is to stand on their air hose when it comes to appropriations. That's exactly what we need to do.
The old Holman rule coming back.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
Congressman, I wanted to ask you about this situation in Martha's Vineyard. Your state is at max capacity. Pretty much all of the border states no longer have the resources because of the sheer number of illegal immigrants who have come. So Texas and Florida sending illegal immigrants to places like Martha's Vineyard. Now, these are cities and states who have declared their sanctuary status. As far as their vote, they have said, come here, we welcome you. But it feels like Democrats are treating them like hot potatoes, because it's like, we can't handle them, you take them, you take them, you take them. Why are they still coming in if this is a game of human hot potato?
Well, this is the hypocrisy of the Democratic Party. These secret night flights, early morning hours, they've been sending these people out of Texas and other border states all around the country in the dark hours, the wee hours of the night. Nobody ever said a thing about it. They've been these Democrat-controlled cities and counties have been bragging about their sanctuary status, and then all of a sudden, when Governors Abbott and Governor DeSantis and the other governors like in Arizona, all of a sudden, when they get these people being sent to these blue jurisdictions, counties and communities, they go absolutely nuts. And quite frankly, they don't know what Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, and Southern California have been going through with the swamp of people, the insurgents of these people, thousands and millions of them, quite frankly. And all of a sudden you send 50 Venezuelans, primarily Venezuelans, because we know, as you just said, Venezuela is emptying out their prisons exactly like Castro did a few years ago in the Marielitos from Cuba. And now they're emptying their prisons in Venezuela and sending murderers and rapists and extortionists and all kinds of bad folks up to our border. And so we sent 50 of them. It wasn't we. When I say we, this was coming out of Governor DeSantis' state. He sent 50 of them up to the Martha's Vineyard. 50. Can you believe this? And they act like it was 50,000. 50, and they call out the National Guard. They've gone nuts, and they don't realize what we're going through here in these border states and counties and cities. When you have Eagle Pass, 30,000 people in Eagle Pass, Texas, they'd get 10, 15,000 per week coming in. And if it's good enough for the goose, it's good enough for the gander. If these people, these mayors, governors of these northern blue states, if they don't like it, then they need to call President Biden and say, hey, start securing the border, start doing your job, Mr. President, because those people are now coming up to our jurisdictions and overwhelming us. And how 50 people can overwhelm something is hard for me to comprehend. When they have, here we have Martha's Vineyard, I'm sure they have plenty of real estate that's vacant that they could put these people in if they really wanted to. But the hypocrisy is written all over their faces. They don't want them up there. They only want us. They want them to come in and be voters.